Hello, hi, welcome once again to M5's English language learning program, Let's Speak English. I'm Gav Duncan and I'm here on your TV to help you learn English. Now, are you sitting comfortably? Yes? Good. And are you ready for today's lesson? Yes? Good. Okay, well let's learn English together. And good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the studio. How do you all feel? Is everything going well today? Do you feel all right? I bet you do, and I bet I know why. Because it's Friday. Yes, that's right, it's Friday, which means that there's only a few more hours until the weekend begins. Then it's time for the chickens of the forest to groom their feathers, polish their wattles, and get ready to hit the disco. All right, right on, groovy. But before you start getting ready to hit the town, let's finish the week off with a little bit of revision. Are you ready? Yes? Good. Jezza? Jezza, are you there? Oh, what's wrong now, Jezza? Aren't you in a good mood? You should be. The weekend's approaching fast.
Must have slipped my mind.
Now, you listen to me, Jezza. Just pull your socks up. Stop hanging about the place like a bad smell and get ready for the revision lesson. We can start the weekend fun after that. Okay?
Ooh.
That's better. Pull yourself together, Jeremy. Welcome to the studio. How are you all today? Did you do the ironing? Did you put your clean, creased clothes onto an ironing board and then use a hot iron to iron your clothes? You did? Well, congratulations. I bet your clothes look nice and crease-free. Okay then. Now that we know that your clothes are all nice and crease-free, so we're all ready to start today's lesson. Okay then, let's start today's lesson with some sentences. That's right, my chickens of the forest. It's time to practice our tenses again. Have a look at the following sentences and see if you can put the verb into the correct form. As you'll see, most of the sentences are about the past. And what does that mean? That's right! If the sentences are talking about the past, that means that we have to change the verb from the infinitive to the past simple form, like in this example. I meet Chief Mangosuthu Buthelezi for the first time in South Africa in 1982. I met Chief Mangosuthu Buthelezi for the first time in South Africa in 1982. Okay, so in that sentence, what's the first thing we notice? That's right. The sentence is talking about the past. It's talking about a time in the past, in 1982, when people wore clothes like this. And Chief Mangosuthu Buthelezi looked like this. And at #1 in the British charts, there was this. Okay, so it was a strange time in the UK, but never mind all that, that's not important. Let's get back to the sentence. So, it's a sentence about the past. It's talking about 1982, and this means what? Yes, this means that we have to change the verb in brackets from the infinitive into the past simple. Okay, so that means what? Well, it means that we have to decide if the verb is regular or irregular. If the verb is regular, then we know that to make the past simple form, we have to add ed to the end of the infinitive. We have to be careful with verbs which end in e. With these verbs, like the verb to Dance, for example. We don't add ed, we just add d. We also have to be careful with the spelling. If a verb ends in vowel plus consonant, then we double the last letter before we add the ed. So the verb to stop, for example. Stop ends in vowel plus consonant, which means that when we make the past simple form of the verb to stop, we double the last letter. Stop becomes stopped. Now, who remembers what happens when the verb ends in a Y? Well, if the verb ends in a Y, like the verb to hurry, then we replace the Y with an I before we add the ed. So hurry becomes hurried. Okay, so those are the regular verbs. What about the irregular verbs? Well, the irregular verbs are irregular. There is no logic, so we have to learn them and remember them. So, if you're ready, then I'll begin. Are you ready? Yes? Okay then. Off we go. Okay, so just like in the example, some sentences are going to come up on the screen. If there is a question mark at the end of the sentence, then we know that we have to ask a question. If there is an asterisk and the word negative at the end of the sentence, then we know that we have to make the sentence negative. Then, when you've had enough time to work out the answer, we'll check them together. Okay? You work last Friday. He work in the bank until 1997. I meet Elvis before he died. I see, asterisk, your dog eat the cat, negative. Alfredo and Gordon have a party. They drink all the wine, beer and spirits. The morning after the party, Alfredo and Gordon have hangovers. When Doreen Benchfield see the Disney film Bambi last year, she cry, asterisk, negative. You speak to him at work yesterday? Okay, so how did you all get on? Were they easy? Were they hard? Well, let's check them together and see how you did. Okay, let's start at the start. Let's begin at the beginning. No, I can't think of another way of saying it. Okay, let's just get on with it, shall we? Number one, ooh. And we started with a tricky one. There's a question mark at the end of the sentence, isn't there? So, what does that mean? That means, my gnus of the plains, that means that it's a question. Okay, that seems logical enough, doesn't it? Yes. Now, who remembers how we make questions in English? There's something we need, isn't there? Yes, we need something to help us. When we want to make a question or a negative sentence, we need a helping verb, an auxiliary verb. And which verb do we use as the auxiliary verb when we're asking questions? Well, if we're asking questions or making negative sentences in the present simple, we use the verb to do. Do you like pizza? Chief Mangasutu Buthelezi does not like pineapples. Okay, so we use the verb to do as an auxiliary verb to help us make questions and negative sentences in the present simple. But what do we use to help us make questions and negative sentences in the past simple? That's right. We use the past form of do. Did. Did you eat pizza yesterday evening? Chief Mangasutu Buthelezi did not like pineapples when he was a young boy. Okay, so Back to number 1. What else do we have to remember about questions in English? Correct-a-doodle-doo. We have to change the word order. We don't start with the subject, but with the auxiliary verb. So, what's the correct answer? That's right. You work last Friday? Did you work last Friday? He worked in the bank until 1997. Okay. What about this one? Well, what about the verb to work? Is it regular or irregular? The verb to work is regular. So, what do we add to the end to make the past simple form? That's right, ed. So work becomes worked. He worked in the bank until 1997. I meet Elvis before he died. Okay. And what about the verb to meet? Is that verb regular or irregular? To meet is irregular. The past simple form of meet is met. So, I met Elvis before he died. I see, asterisk, your dog eat the cat, negative. Okay, now a slightly tricky one. If this was a positive sentence in the past simple, then what would we do? That's right. If the sentence was positive, then we change the verb to see into the past simple form. To see is irregular, and see becomes saw. But, hang on. This sentence isn't positive, it's negative. So, what do we need? That's right. We have to use did to make the negative in the past simple. Okay. And after we use did to make the negative, what happens then? Correct! The super chicken rides again with Fred. When we use did to make a past simple negative sentence, we don't change the verb. We follow did with the infinitive. So see remains as see. I didn't see your dog eat the cat. Alfredo and Gordon have a party. They drink all the wine, beer and spirits. Okay, this one's simpler. 2 verbs, both in the past, both irregular. Have becomes had, and drink becomes drank. Simple. Alfredo and Gordon had a party. They drank all the wine, beer and spirits. The morning after the party, Alfredo and Gordon have hangovers. Okay, next please. Again, a simple one. The verb to have is irregular. Have becomes had. The morning after the party, Alfredo and Gordon had hangovers. When Doreen Benchfield see the Disney film Bambi last year, she cry, asterisk, negative. Okay, now number 7. Again, we've got 2 verbs in this sentence. One is just the past simple, but the second one is a negative. Okay? So the first one is simple. The verb to see is irregular, as we know. See becomes saw. Okay. And the second verb, is that verb regular or irregular? The verb to cry is regular. Cry becomes cried in the past simple. But what did we forget? That's right. This is negative, which means that we need an auxiliary verb, the past tense of do, did. And then what? Well, we follow did with the infinitive. So it's irrelevant whether to cry is regular or irregular. We need the infinitive, cry. When Doreen Benchfield saw the Disney film Bambi last year, she didn't cry. You speak to him at work yesterday. And the last one. We've come to the end of the exercise. Okay, what have you got? There's a question mark at the end of the sentence. So, we know that it's a question. Okay, so to make a question in the past simple, what do we need? That's right, we need the auxiliary verb did. And we have to change the word order. We change the positions of the auxiliary verb and the subject. And we follow did with what? That's right, we need the infinitive. We don't conjugate the verb. So, did you speak to him at work yesterday? Brilliant. Well done, everyone. Excellent work. And that's it for the day. Yes, my chickens of the forest and Jezza, you're free to relax and start the weekend whenever you fancy. Have another cup of coffee. Take Gusti for a walk. Scratch Margot's head. Do whatever makes you happy. Have a great weekend, and I'll see you all next week. Remember, if you want to check out all of our English lessons, head over to www.m5tv.hu. That's where they're kept.